Hello, CNET superfans. I'm Jeff Bakalar, and with me on the stage right now is Mr. Robot star Carly Chaikin. You might have seen her yesterday when she was our guest at CNET's Next Big Thing panel on the smart home, and Carly was nice enough to join us today as well. Hello, Carly. Thank you so much for being here. Round of applause for Carly Chaikin, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay!
Yeah. That's nice. That feels good.
Yeah.
So Next Big Thing, the panel you did yesterday, that kind of surrounded the whole smart home stuff. Obviously, we talked, I'm sure, about that opening scene in the second season of your show, Mr. Robot. So, like, what is that? Where does that come together? I mean, obviously, that's like the way extreme sort of side of things.
Yeah, they had actually, it said worst case scenario.
Right. Like, this is the apocalyptic sort of smart home situation. I mean, where does that tie into like the real world sort of like application of smart home stuff? Like, I guess from your point of view, having dealt with that topic a lot in the show.
I mean, I think a lot of our show is kind of worst case scenario of how hacking and technology can kind of affect the world / destroy it.
For sure.
And I think, I think it kind of just plays into everybody's fear about, what could happen, and just having your kind of life hacked and taken over in your home and all that stuff. And I think with everything going on about smart houses and all, technology in the world today, it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of like a warning.
It is, and I feel like it's never been more, relevant in kind of like the world we're living in right now. Before you started on the show, what was maybe from that point to now the thing you're able to take away the most? Are you like more paranoid now? I feel like I might be.
I'm so much more paranoid, and I also, but technology and hacking and any of that stuff was never even crossed my mind.
Right.
It wasn't something I thought about. And so now, since then, it's kind of every room I walk into, I'm like, oh, I could hack that. Oh, I could do that.
Is that like your reconnaissance, like every time you walk into a room?
Yeah, or I think like people are constantly like recording me or watching me or tracking or something that I'm like, now in my head, everything is what's the worst case scenario and think it's actually happening.
Right. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun to live life like that.
It's great.
It's great. It's wonderful. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder.
Yeah, who doesn't want to live like that?
What do you think maybe like the next generation of people who don't remember a world where everything wasn't connected? Like, what do you think they're faced with?
It's so weird to me because I feel like, I was born in like 1990. I feel like I'm like kind of almost the last generation that experienced, printing out MapQuest directions and not having a cell phone.
And they would just pile up in the shotgun seat of the car.
And you get lost, like there's nothing to do.
Right.
And so it's crazy to me seeing all like younger kids living on iPads and learning on iPads, and it really scares me. I feel like there are a lot of the art of handwritten things or reading a book or it is like lost.
For sure. I think a lot of people kind of take umbrage with the fact that no one really knows how to develop a relationship with somebody.
Yes.
Like, you can have a conversation as much as you want online, and we can send little emojis back and forth and really express the way we feel about each other. But, sitting down at a bar with somebody and like observing someone's facial expressions and their body language, that's going away, and I don't know, that kind of just like makes me wake up in the middle of the night.
It's crazy thinking, when you go to a restaurant or go somewhere and be waiting for your friend, you didn't have your phone to play with or distract you, and you kind of would just be looking around and sitting there. But
what did we do?
I don't know, twiddled your thumbs.
Just stared at the carpet or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I just, now it's like we have this false sense of intimacy and relationships with people and a connection where we see, pictures on Instagram, and so I know what you did for Christmas, so I don't feel the need to call you and ask you what you did for Christmas.
Right.
And I think so much of it is we feel so much more connected, but at the same time, we become more and more disconnected because we're not having actual human interaction.
Yeah. I worry that, this overindulgence that we seem to be having with social media, I don't know, like, do you think there's a way back from that?
No.
I mean, this is, oh, you don't. So we're too far gone.
Yeah.
It's over.
We're done. Everyone
That's
go
it.
home.
That was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
That was fun. I don't know. I just feel like, you know.
Do you?
I want to say yeah, but.
Because where do you just, take all of that away? Because I think
can.
there are so many benefits to social media.
Right.
For me personally, I've been able to develop relationships with people via Twitter.
Sure.
And I think it gives people such a great way to reach out and have, a bigger platform and a way to express themselves. But, there also is kind of the ability to hide behind a computer screen. People think they can say whatever they want.
For sure, yeah.
I think to me that's the scariest part.
Yeah, I mean, I think when this exploded, I think social media is the best and worst thing that's happened.
Right, agreed.
Simultaneously, right? I don't know if there will be this sort. I mean, we are kind of like, the guinea pigs for it, where it's like, oh, let's see if humanity can survive this.
Right.
And then as the dust settles, maybe there'll be, sort of like a withdrawal of it a little bit. I don't know. Like when you ask, like, can we come back?
When you say come back, does that mean
find a balance?
Right.
Like,
I don't think we can find a balance for anything in this world, though. Apparently.
Yeah. Wow. This show's really.
I'm so cynical. I'm like, we're all gonna die. It's fine.
It's fine. So going back to the show, Mr. Robot, there's obviously the huge sort of socio-political, impact that F Society has on the world. The culture sort of stuff. I think a lot of that is also about privacy, right? Like people kind of having the line blurred about what digital privacy is to people. Do you think we're living in a world now where people just have no sort of concept of the fact that they're giving that up? Not unwillingly, but there's no sort of warning anymore. It's just sort of,
right.
Oh, I'll hit OK. I'll scroll through that,
Yeah.
hit OK, and move on.
I mean, the biggest thing for me was when Pokemon Go came out.
Okay, yeah.
And people would just accept it and do it and didn't realize that then their location, their phone, like everything in their phone, everything that they were doing was being tracked.
Right.
And everyone just wants to play games, so they say okay, nobody thinks about, what they're actually signing themselves up for.
For sure.
But I think, and I kind of had the same thing about, well, I have nothing, what do I care?
Yeah.
If someone, hypothetically, has that information.
It's that mentality of I got nothing to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
About, all those things about, even, not to get, so political, but,
Let's go
all
there.
the, with Snowden and exposing all of that,
Sure.
that it's like, well, I don't care if someone is listening in on my phone calls. I'm not saying anything bad.
Right.
And one of the coolest things, I actually went to this panel that he did via Robot.
Okay.
But he was saying saying that you don't care is kind of like saying we don't need freedom of speech because I have nothing to say.
Right. It's a slippery slope,
right.
that, and I think that's something that the show really does a really good job at warning people about. I think the reason Mr. Robot is so compelling is because it doesn't really glamorize the entire situation, right. And I feel like up until then, the notion of hacking was this sort of superhero-esque kind of thing. No, it's real bad. It's real ugly. People die.
Yeah.
It's the ramifications are intense.
Well, I think the coolest thing was, season 1. Our goal is to start this revolution. Sure. And to take down the 1% and, help the 99% and take down the biggest conglomerate. And then you see that we weren't, it wasn't everything we thought it would be, and the consequences that we suffered, and the reality of that, of not being oh, we're superheroes and now everybody's saved and here's the real world. About sometimes starting a revolution can do more thinking you're doing that can do more damage, and all of these things with technology. And so I feel like everything that's going on is a catch-22. All these things that people think are helping or benefiting, even social media.
Sure.
There's always that like double-edged sword of it all.
Right. It's a fine line to walk. Absolutely. Well, Carly, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Carly, everybody.